Hi guys, Ingrid Marsh here from Soulful Living with Ingrid. As you know, I always love to bring you ordinary women like me and you who are turning their pain into power, who have overcome huge obstacles in their life, but have used those pains, have used those difficulties to actually empower themselves and empower others. Now, with me today, I have the wonderful Francesca Blechner. She's launching her new book soon, her online book launch. How creative is that? Her online book is coming up soon for her wonderful book, Self-Care for Life in the City, How to Nourish Your Mind, Body and Soul in a Fast-Paced World. It's an absolutely amazing book. I've got her with me today. Now we're going to be talking about her book and how that can help us now. We've got this coronavirus thing going on. Many of us are self-isolating. How can we strengthen our mind, body and soul, or, become mentally and more physically strong during this period as opposed to making us gobble us up. So let me tell you a little bit more about Rich before I bring her in. Her bio is fantastic. She's also the founder of a website called, or a business rather, called Wholistic Body Life. She provides a holistic health approach to restoring harmony and balance in a fast-paced world, which we touched on. And she's really passionate about helping others to thrive in today's modern world. Her work combines neuroscience, which I love. It's not all woo-woo stuff. It combines neuroscience, coaching, mindset, nutrition, movement, and breath work. And she has helped thousands, literally thousands of people from all over the world and all walks of life. That includes members of the Saudi royal family, celebrities, business leaders, new mothers, and more. And she works with clients on a one-to-one basis, group meetings, and online now, which is very useful. And she works with brands and businesses. Francesca, my darling, how are you? Thank you so much for joining me.
I'm good. How are you? This is a different Saturday kind of night, isn't it?
It's a Saturday. Yeah, we both kind of dressed up for it, didn't we?
Yeah, put a bit of makeup on,
Exactly. I thought I had to go out to my car to get something, and I was thinking my neighbours must be thinking, where the hell is she going? So yeah, makes it.
I've only been as far as to get toilet roll today, and that's it.
That's about as exciting as it got.
Yeah, really.
So Francesca, you've just written a book. How exciting. They say something like everyone has a story in them, but only about 5% of us actually write a book. So, tell us what got you here. What was life before, this transformation, your own personal transformation, and what has brought us here today?
Well, my journey started off almost 20 years ago. I worked in fitness and was personal training for many years, and I loved that. I did that kind of all through my 20s. Everything I did was at high intensity. I was busy. I worked all hours of the day, teaching classes, working one-to-one with clients, doing body work, boot camps. And I did love what I did. But after 10 years, always on the go, at a high intensity, I started to I felt exhausted, and I kept reaching the edge of burnout. I always had a holistic approach to my work, and got really interested in like hormonal health and how stress affects the body and the emotional states that show up in the body. But as I kept hitting the edge of burnout and exhausting myself, I guess I got to my 30s and was like, I can't sustain this being constantly on the go. And as you know, so of course, what you go through, you start to attract the people in your life that need that help as well. And I think over the last definitely 5 to 10 years, the speed of life, the pace of life has just monumentally increased. And with that has been a huge epidemic of burnout, adrenal fatigue, whereas that was reserved for maybe people in their 40s up who'd be in the working life for 20 years. I'm seeing people who in their early 20s, even teenagers, right, that are, as you say, hitting a midlife crisis because of the immense pressure that is just going on in the world, in social media. And so I'd say in the last 5 to 10 years, it's been a monumental increase of anxiety, depression, mental health, burnout. And with all the practices that I've done myself, that I've had to go through myself, and which made me reevaluate the pace and the life that I was, the pace that I was living at, because when I went on certain courses and had work done that works with the nervous system and the body, and I realized how kind of depleted my system was. And so through those practices were really pivotal in my life, and in changing that. And so I wanted to put all the information that I knew into a book to help other people. And as you know, my sister has self-publishing companies, so she's like, you've got to write a book. And it's funnily enough, I had the vision to write a book a few years ago, but we did a trade-off over Christmas where she said, you come on my workshop, the Power of the Story workshop, for the next few weeks, and can you help me with, like, do some holistic health coaching with me? So I was like, okay. So I turned up at the workshop. I was like, well, I'm obviously going to write something to do with health, but I have no idea where to start, how to structure it, what's it going to be about, who's it going to be targeted to. But over time, just over that workshop, actually, just the pieces came together, and then it was just flowed out of me.
Fabulous.
So having a sister who works in publishing, and it gave me the force of what was already in me, and I love writing.
So that helps. So before we move away from that, I just want to ask you, when you were going through your burnout and going through the stress and all the rest of it, what was your darkest moment, would you say?
I think I was thinking about this. I think, one of the points was getting to, I'd say, early mid-30s, and I think it was a point of my life where I really felt like I was at a crossroads in my life. I wasn't in love with what I was doing anymore. I wasn't in love with life. I felt like I was going through the motions. And then I also was putting immense pressure on myself of, I should be here in my life now. When you're, as a woman in your early 30s, mid-30s, the expectation is that, you should be getting married or having a baby and settling down. And I wasn't. I was single. I was on the dating cycle of non-committal men. and yeah, everyone else around me was, settling down or buying places with their partners or having babies. And I kept having that question asked, when are you going to settle down? When are you going to have a baby? And it was like, so far from where I am. So I think there was this immense pressure of where I should be and what I should be doing, in that being constantly on the go and giving my energy to so many people, and always feeling like I was a strong one and doing everything myself, struggling to ask for help or support, that I lost connection with myself, because you're always trying to get there wherever there is, and that actually takes you out of alignment from who you really are and what your truth is.
Absolutely. It takes you away from your soul, doesn't it?
Sorry?
It takes you away from your soul calling.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that went on for quite a few years, and then I'd say that was a real, pivotal point, just being at a crossroads, just feeling really out of alignment, just knowing that something in my soul isn't aligned with what I'm doing anymore. And actually, there's a point where I just felt like I was going through the motions of life. Felt a lot of anxiety. I just knew there was something more. And things like, I didn't remember feeling like really like joy, because I always loved what I did. I've been blessed that I always lived my passion from a very young age. Yeah. So actually coming to a point where I was like, not passionate about this anymore. I'm depleted. I'm exhausted. I feel drained. Yeah. That was kind of unfamiliar.
Interesting. So your soul, you're like almost spiritually dead, almost. You're like, your soul has lost its fire.
100%. Yeah.
Quite.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that with us, because I think that happens to a lot of people where
Yes.
they're just going through the motion, like, so they just don't feel alive anymore. I just want to feel and live again. So that's beautiful. Thank you for your vulnerability there, for sharing that with us.
That's okay. I think
I resonate with that.
yeah, exactly.
Within your book, you speak about the 6 pillars of health, because so typically people think of health, going to the gym, working out, that kind of thing. But you talk about 6 pillars of health. Can you tell us just a little bit about each of those and what they are?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, health. A lot of people, most people think of health, and especially in the fitness industry, health and fitness industry is very much based on the physical. But there's a physical health, mental health, emotional health, and spiritual health. That is the umbrella of health. You can't just have one, which is very much gym industry. Health, fitness industry is like just physical, aesthetics and diet and weight. So the 6 pillars are, it's hydration, water, first and foremost. We are cellular bodies. It is our thoughts, what we think, our mental health. Right. So the thoughts that we are thinking, thoughts create our circumstances. Right. There is movement. We need to move every day, just like as animals move. We also need to move. We have a biological pumping system that needs to move through the body. The organs need to move, the lymph system. And it doesn't always mean hitting the gym. It could be, I work with a lot of people who are pretty burnt out. So it might be slower type movements, like what I call, or what my teacher calls, work-in exercises, which cultivate energy.
I don't talk too much about that, because I've got a big old question around that working in.
Okay.
I loved that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Breathing is fundamental. If you don't breathe, you die. And the breathing pattern is linked to your emotional state. Yeah. Linked to how you think and how you feel. It's also linked physically into again getting the organs moving. The abdominal organs. Every breath you take, that is using your diaphragm. Mm-hmm. If when you take a full breath into the diaphragm, you're massaging into the organs with every breath. But most people, especially now, if you're in that fight and flight and fear, it's all up in the chest, and that creates anxiety. So our breathing is very much linked to our emotional state, how we think and how we feel. Rest is fundamental. And that's something I really had to learn. I thought I was in an incredible shape, but my belief system was I was indestructible. I'm a machine. And not really giving myself enough rest properly, understanding that really fully. And that's quite ingrained. It's very ingrained in society. It's still ingrained in fitness industry. Like, keep going, grit your teeth, push hard, and that's what's happening in society. Keep going, like the badge of honor. How I'm so busy. I had the least amount of sleep and I'm back here.
Yes.
And
it's interesting you saying that. I mean, many of these areas were what collapsed in my life, which then caused me to slump. I was mentally strong and could just keep going. But before I did my own transformation, there was no movement. I didn't rest, and all these things that you mentioned. And life came crashing down because I didn't incorporate these pillars that you're talking about. So that's why I just thought they were absolutely beautiful, integral, like you said, to health. So yes, thank you for that. Absolutely wonderful. You also talk about...
I've got 2 more pillars. I think I only covered 4.
I do apologise. Yes, sorry, go ahead.
That's okay, don't worry. I just want to make
sure. I'm excited by all the questions I'm going to ask.
Get this. Yeah. So the other 2 are nutrition. Of course, what you eat, what you digest is key. Absolutely. And also knowing where your food is sourced from as well is really important these days, because most food is chemically sprayed these days. So nutrition.
Do you mean like organic foods and stuff? Because then we start getting to a potential cost issue now, don't we, for some people?
Yeah. Yes. organic, but there's, in my book I speak a lot about that, and there's lots of ways around that as well. So there's your local farmers markets, there's people where the small farmers that have organic practices can't afford to buy the big label of organic, and so they're having better than organic practices and they're selling perhaps, you know, at a decent price. So and then there are some ways that I describe in my book, looking at the Dirty Dozen list, which is a list printed every year by the Environmental Working Group, I think it is. And
don't give too much of it away, because don't forget they're going to get the book.
yeah. So there's lots of ways.
Okay. And the last pillar? Oh
gosh, where are we? So we said thoughts, breathing, hydration, nutrition, rest, and happiness. Yeah. So happiness as well. Your dreams, your legacy, your values.
Yeah, and speaking about your values.
Oh, maybe that was 7 actually.
That's all right. Well, I also picked out in your book, which was also really interesting. You spoke about when you would speak to your clients, when you'd ask them about their business values, that would come to mind straight away. But when you'd ask them about their personal values, they would struggle. And from that, you kind of picked up when people were paying so little attention to their own needs and putting everybody else first. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, it's so interesting, isn't it? Because again, this just shows how far we've moved from ourselves, how disconnected we've become, and also are seeking approval of external validation, approval from others, approval that we're good enough in our job, in our work, and our business. But we've lost the true nature of who we are and what we want, and to bring ourselves into alignment. So your values are your personalized principles that you live by, that guide you in your life, with the things that are important to you, your top priorities. So for me, one of my top number one priority is my health. My health is my wealth. So then if I'm aware of that, the values that I have in terms of my health, for example, I have set values. One of them is I meditate daily. It's a non-negotiable for me. I give myself that time. That way I'm grounded, I'm clear, I can do the work that I do to serve my clients and work with hold a high capacity, hold a high container. Yeah. It helps to keep me centered and grounded. I cook from home most times, 80-20, living the rule of 80-20. So 80% of the time is like high quality organic foods. 20%, maybe if I go to friends to eat or eat out, no big deal, you know, not going to become neurotic. So these are values and principles that I live up by, that guide my behavior, that are in alignment with my top priorities. But if you don't know what they are, if you have no idea, then you're just navigating like a path. Any road will take you there, as they say. You don't know where you're going.
Yeah, sort of moving wildly. And you mentioned that quite a bit in your book and on your website, like your health being your wealth. I think for a lot of people, you know, unless you hit crash and burnout, or we're going through like the pandemic we're going through now.
Yes.
People now realizing, you know, what we should be giving our values to and what is worthy of our time and everything else, and it is our health. I mean, that now that spells it out. You must find that easier to get that message across now than you did before.
Yeah. And that's always been one of my tagline, actually, since I started personal training 20 years ago. That my tagline was, your health is your wealth. And I firmly believe that, because when you have a firm foundation of health, not just physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, that will affect every single area of your life. How you are, how you be with your relationships with the people or person you attract into your life, how you are with your work, how you serve from that place, how you are with your family, how you interact with your children, how you handle money. And at this time as well, so one of my things when I work with my coaching clients is building a strong foundation of physical, mental, emotional, spiritual health. Yeah. Because with that strong foundation, when the country's in a crisis, you feel grounded. You have that strong foundation. No one can take that away from you.
Absolutely.
And you have resilience. So right now, as there's chaos all around, you can choose whether to surf, I say that the tidal wave, yeah, there's big changes. Either you're going to surf the tidal wave, or are you going to get ripped and tumbled under, because everything that you thought was your security and your safety and who you are is getting wide open and it's forcing you to come back to yourself. And I know that's one of your questions coming up, so I won't go into that too much.
So I
could just keep going.
I know. The thing is, when you know this stuff and you see it, it becomes so, when you're like me, I become so passionate about it, because it's like, you sort of save the world.
Yeah.
But I totally understand, and you're right. It means that when it comes to crises like this, you can kind of handle it a bit better. So you don't fall into the pit of fear and emotions. You can actually stand quite firm. So, you know, I totally hear you on that. That's absolutely awesome. And there's something else you mentioned with that, and I thought, because I've always said as well, if you've got your health, if you've got your mind, if things do go tumbling down, you're able to fight back. You know.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, you know, you could be utterly broken. But if you have the right mindset, right thoughts, you have it to fight back. So
resilience. You have a higher resilience, a higher container, a bigger container.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, a bigger container. I love it. My darling, you also...
Sorry, can I add something to that as well?
Yeah, sure. Because
what I noticed with myself, Ingrid, because there's huge fear and panic, and it's not to say that I don't feel that.
Yeah.
I did initially. My gosh, I went out to shops and I felt this craziness all around me. But the difference I felt was that it passed and moved through me quite quickly. And that is what the difference I found. And that's important to acknowledge that. It's not to try and resist that fear, feeling, but to let it, you know, embrace it. But like I said, let it come in and let it flow right back out again. Exactly. Feel it, move it through, recognize it and go, okay, I'm feeling this here. Let me just move this through. Let it pass through. Beautiful, beautiful. My lovely, on your website, and you're going to help us demonstrate that with us here now, you talk about activation techniques. Oh, wow, yeah, you've been yes. So I thought you might be able to do some of that with us here. First of all, explain what activation techniques are. And there was a couple that kind of we could do up here on our heads and stuff. Can you share that with us, and we can do that now? On the heads, wow. There's bits that you kind of did on the shoulder blade here and by the jawbone. That was a video. You watched the video, right? I did indeed. Yes, the self-activation techniques. Yeah, so what is that, first of all? What is self-activation techniques? What's that? Well, it's a bodywork technique. I trained with a guy called Douglas Hill, South African. He has a technique that's called Be Activated Techniques. It's a type of bodywork and structural alignment. It helps to align your posture, but it also is very linked to our emotional state. So especially for now, when our physiology is scattered, when we're not breathing, when we're not in our center, that affects all the muscles that are connected to the stress response, that fight and flight. So namely the diaphragm, the jaw, the psoas muscle, which is the hip flexor, the glutes. And if that center isn't firing and engaged and activated neurally, the nerve and through that neural connection, brain muscle connection, that's not integrated. That means the body is using a different cheat pattern, and that can create movement dysfunction and chronic pain, as well as sort of feel, you know, some people who, or even if for yourself, if you're thrown off, especially at this time, you don't quite feel in your body, your physiology feels scattered, you can't think clearly. Right. So when that's rewired back in, you're in your body, you're present, you're grounded, and you're clear, and you can make decisions because the nervous system is going, I'm safe, it's all okay. Right. So is there any that we can do now together? Yeah, the first one I'd say is a diaphragm, which I'm always teach people to do. So if you find your center here, where the ribs meet, in the hollow space, not on the bone, in the hollow space, in the center, solar plexus area, use your thumb. Sometimes it's easier lying down, but still works sitting up. This is great for an office break. And then stick your thumb in and just circle that around, noticing how that feels. I find it feels quite beautiful already, actually. It's weird. Oh, good. That's good. Yeah. For a lot of people, this will feel really quite tender. I remember the first time I had this done, it was like pretty agonizing.
Yeah, no, it feels lovely to me.
This is really good for soothing anxiety, actually.
Mm.
And a lot of people will be feeling right here in the center at this time in life at the moment with what's going on. They're going to be feeling this solar plexus. This is the area that contracts when someone has a panic attack. And then just breathing into that a few times. And then what I like to do is get around on the underside of the ribs, as if you're trying to get under. I'm chilling back now because
Yeah, I'm trying to get there.
when you sit up, your stomach contracts, so it's easier. It is easy lying down, but you can use your fingertips to get around the sides of the ribs, as if you're trying to hook the fingertips under, noticing how that feels. So we're activating into the diaphragm, the breathing muscle.
Right.
And again, this is a muscle that constricts and contracts and almost shrinks when we're in the fear response.
Wow.
When we're in protection, when we're defending ourselves, here all shuts down. So just opening here can trigger emotions.
Yeah.
People, very common.
Weird, is it? It really shows that mind-body connection, doesn't it? Because by doing this, how it's impacting the mind as well, and it's just making me like relax and open up. It's really beautiful.
Exactly. And then I get up through the sternum, the breastbone here, which is linked to neck and shoulder tension.
Okay.
And I usually going pretty firm.
Yeah.
Because we're undoing sometimes a lifetime of being held.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might make you cough. We don't want to be coughing right now, do we?
Allowed one, crikey.
Police are around everywhere. Well, very careful. So, but actually, this is good for releasing the tension around the chest, opening out through the chest and the lungs.
Yeah, it did just that. Okay.
And then I get under the collarbone as well. This helps to release a lot through the neck.
Oh, well, through time, I'm going to pause that bit there. But yes, you can look onto your website, which we'll at the end. And there's lots of techniques
in the session.
Yeah, it's a really great website, guys. So I'll just stress that. So I've got here as well that, some people will be concerned that, especially people like yourself who do this work, that people are probably listening more now than they have ever been. But is there a fear, do you think, Francesca, that once this is over and we go back to life, that big old energy that's out there at the moment that says, go fast, keep going, faster, don't rest, is just going to gobble us all up again? And if that's the case, how can we make these techniques and what you teach us that bit more sustainable, that we can remain grounded even when this is over? So, cool. All right. So we're back now. We did freeze a bit there, so we'll carry on our lush interview. So we were talking about, my question to you was, my concern is that when this is over and we go back out there, there's going to be that big old energy just like gobbling everyone back up again. And before we know it, we're back on there. We're back on that treadmill of life. Faster, getting sicker and sicker and sicker. Again, how can we make this sustainable? How can we keep ourselves grounded when this is over?
It's a really good point, because I wondered, will we go back to that? Because like we've never been in a situation like this for most people in this lifetime. So how much big of a wake-up call do we need? The whole, not just town is in lockdown, not just London, not just the UK, the whole world. Everyone is in quarantine. This has never happened before. And so I think it's also a beautiful opportunity to really slow down, to evaluate, to reflect at that fast-paced hamster wheel. One isn't sustainable. Seeing more people when I go on my daily walk outside when I can. I've seen more families together, more people exercising, more people present with their family, with their children, and than I would normally see when I go to the same park. And so there's a real sense of everyone is slowing down. Nature is replenishing. Nature is healing. So I wonder, will things may never be the same again, and that can be a good thing. But if they go back, I mean, it's just not sustainable. I think if this isn't the big wake-up call, I don't know what would be.
So you're quite hopeful that there'll be a shift in mindset, a higher consciousness as a result of this.
I think there's always both. I think for a lot of people, are having that reflective time. Definitely, a lot of people are having that realization. But it will go the other way for some people as well. A lot of people will go back into that speed, into that fast pace, into the distraction. Because a lot of the fast pace is distraction to actually sometimes to numb out what they're feeling, to numb out what is not serving them, what they're not happy with. Maybe it's relationships or their work or feeling fulfilled or feeling enough. And so the distractions then come in. And I think that's really coming up now for a lot of people, in that slowing down and in that being present. And in the, sadly, a lot of people have lost their jobs, and that's not, that's a tough situation to go through, but also a beautiful parallel to be, well, who am I without my title, without my job title, without my salary, with the identity I've been hiding behind in my job or in my work or in my achievements in this. And so it's a real calling of going back in. And for some people, they will embrace that. And then for other people, they will want to go back to the numbing out or to the fast pace, or maybe they just don't see another way. So I think there's always yin and yang. And that is the balance. So there will be the rise of the higher consciousness. At the same time, there'll be the tip of like, oh, let me go back into that, because I don't know, it's just what perhaps they're used to. So I think there'll be both. But I think what's been shown from this is there's been the wellness community has really stepped up. A lot of people are offering free streaming classes online. So there's a lot of resources out there if we look for it.
Yeah. I could just gobble up everything you're saying, it's just like, when I meet like-minded, it's so beautiful. It really fills my soul. And especially where you touched there on the identities, these false identities that, do we voluntarily pick them up? Have they been, given to us? Probably a combination of both. But how much those identities take us away from our true selves and take us away from our souls is something I bang on about the whole time, the identity and the label. So having you say that and talk about that, that's really close to my heart. So, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're right. There'll be people who, everyone's on their own journey, right? This is something to learn. People are on their own journey, and they may not be ready yet to deal with that because they can't think of a plan B. I think it's anyway. So it is to then just go back on that life. And, you admitted you had to have a break, things hit a low before it changed. For myself too, it hit a low before the change came. So,
hold on. Oh,
did it go out again?
It almost did. I got you there. Sorry, I missed what did you say?
That's right. By the way, Francesca's actually saving her internet connection there, guys. You're wondering what's happening. Yeah, you're totally right. It's just it. But it might, so everyone's on their own journey. So it might be it. It might be something else. But yeah, beautiful answer.
Thank you.
There's also that wonderful bit in your book, which I just loved. I love so much of it. But one of the bits I just loved, when you said there's, too much yang and not enough yin, too much working out and not enough working in. And I was like, whoa, I love that. Will you talk about that a bit more? Explain that, what you mean by out and working.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, I'm just checking I'm keeping the connection here. Can you hear me?
I can indeed. You're still there.
From there.
Yeah. So hi guys, we're back here with the wonderful Francesca Blechner, and talking about her book and this whole thing about working in and working out. So yes, Francesca, please carry on the working in.
Yeah, so this is a concept one of my teachers, Paul Check, excuse me,
Cough police.
and this is something I really had to learn myself as before, previously always working as a personal trainer, and that working out is giving you're expending your energy, and you need, in order to replenish, to receive the benefits of working out or training, you need to have time to rest and repair and regenerate to reap the benefits. And working in is the opposite. It's bringing your energy in, cultivating your life force. It's sending the energy to the organs, through the cells, at more of a cellular level. So, and the yang is very much the doing energy. It's the masculine energy. When I say the masculine, we all people have the feminine and masculine side. So the yang is very much the masculine, the energy of doing, human doing, and the yin is the opposite. It's the feminine energy. It's the being and drawing in your energy, drawing in your life force. It's the rest. It's the slowing down. It's the restoration. And typically in the world, it's very yang. It's very much fast paced. It's very much do, push, strive. And that was very much me, which served me to a point, because I am a powerhouse. I get stuff done. I can do projects. I can written a book. But I can sway to being too yang as well. And when I train, I used to go hard and go to do Spartan races, and I would just fit in too much in my week. Fill up my diary, my social diary. I don't do any of that now. I love the yin and the slowing down and restoration. I'm really in tune with my body and what I need. And so the working in is more exercise, like movements, I would say, rather than exercises, are the slowing down that cultivate the energy and life force, that help with healing, digestion, repair, that bring the nervous system, oops, my printer's going up, that brings the nervous system to more of that quietness. And you know what's beautiful is this is what's being represented in the world right now. The world has been very yang. It's been masculine dominated with all the leaders, and they're doing and leading with their egos. And now, if we can take the lessons, we're being forced in, the whole world has gone into shutdown. The whole world is being forced into yin, because we've reached the tipping point of this isn't sustainable. The whole world has burnt out. And this is a representation of us at a micro level and individual level, which is why I wrote this book with how to nourish your mind, body and soul in fast-paced world. It's not sustainable. And that's why there's been such a rise of chronic fatigue and burnout, autoimmune disease, and not with people 50 plus, where it was maybe 10, 15 years ago. People in their 20 plus, so many people I've come across in their 20s, ME, chronic fatigue, autoimmune disease, fibromyalgia. It's but you're 21. So that's why the working in is so important. We don't need to keep doing more and more and more. We need to have movements that are actually replenishing your organs, your glands, your cells. So yeah, that's working in.
And what's really interesting, I just loved it. I just love it. Because for me, I do a lot of walks and run in nature. And this is something I try to push out there quite a bit. and about, but using it to flush your energy field, to do it mindfully, no earphones. You can,
Yes.
feel the leaves and the mud and the
Beautiful.
your feet. I mean, it's truly beautiful. But you'd be surprised how many people will say to me as a result of me doing this, like, how much weight have you lost?
Really? Wow.
And it's still the focus, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people who get it and they realize it's about, replenishing. It's where I get my fuel back so I can be where I am.
Yes.
It's doing just that. But I'm always surprised by and I never talk about weight in those videos. I never do. The fact that I'm now healthy as a result is why, there was shift of weight, what have you, but that's not the focus, about replenish. But still, the thing that people come to me most is like, how much weight have you lost? How much slimmer? What size are you now?
Wow.
And that kind of thing. Isn't that potty?
Yeah, and that's where it goes back to the health and fitness industry was so focused on just the physical health.
Yeah.
And the old school belief that exercise more and eat less, what used to be.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Be healthy and you'll be in the right way. One of the things I wanted to share with you, actually, when I did my my level 2 training in a holistic lifestyle coach, I volunteered to be a case study because I was just like, I'm feel like something's not right with me. I'm just, I think I'm here to help myself first. And I was stressed at that point in my life, very stressed. I think I wrote that in the section. I was looking for a flat to buy. I was in a great position to buy my own place, but I had no idea where I was going to live. I moved 3 times in 1 year. I never knew how long I'd be at someone's place. I was living with a client at the time, and I can't remember what I was just saying. Why I got into this.
We were talking about you became the first volunteer through your holistic training program, and because I was saying that we were saying that it's too much focus is on the fitness industry. And
yes. So I was at that same time. So I was holding a lot of stress because looking for a place to live became like another job. I saw about 50 places. I didn't know if I could afford to be within London, if I'd start my whole business again, this time with the pressure of a mortgage and doing it all on my own at the time. And I was working with a lot of clients as well, quite a few mornings, 6:30 in the morning, and I was training. I was doing a lot of training myself, physical training, because that's what I was used to. And actually, after being the case study, the most important thing, because my adrenal stress was up really high, my adrenals were the batteries of the body. It was almost seeing the paperwork. All I knew, I was like, okay, I'm giving myself permission to rest. And so I prioritized sleeping early, going to bed before 10. I cut way back on my training because I got a back injury as well, because I was trying to kind of push through. I was doing what I was used to be able to do when I was feeling healthy, less of a stress load.
Yeah. But
with the stress load, it was too much, and my body was trying to tell me, and I ignored it, and I manifested a spectacular back injury. And when I cut back on all of my training, I think I was doing maybe yoga a couple of times, quite slow, gave myself permission to rest. Any inflammation, weight, fluid retention dropped off me within a week. So it isn't about weight, it's about being healthy, finding your homeostasis. The body will find its health, its balance.
Homeostasis, what's that?
Yeah, it's kind of like your balance of all your systems,
right?
All the hormonal systems in the body just being in harmony. Finding your equilibrium.
Yeah. And it's weird how once you find that, how everything knocks into place anyway, because I'd explained to people the reason I was getting bigger at one point is because I was using food as a comfort. So once I then became healthy internally, the food, I didn't need to use food as a comfort anymore. So it's almost an inside out approach. So then I didn't have to go on these like mega diet things.
Yes.
Because I dealt with the real issues as opposed to using food as the comfort. So
yes. Yeah, exactly.
So another bit I loved in your book, there was a beautiful quote in there, which it was called, because one of your sections is called Letting Go, the art of letting go. And if you don't mind, I just want to read that extract in the book.
Yeah, please, absolutely.
You can sit
back.
It's
nice to hear someone read my book.
Here we go. So it says, letting go is hard, but sometimes holding on is harder. Nothing is certain in life. We will lose people we love. People will die. We may have our hearts broken. Jobs may be lost forever. We will get hurt. Relationships may break down. There is one thing that is certain for all of us. We will pass from our physical bodies. Be in the now. Celebrate life. Stop holding on to the past. Let go of certainty and embrace the magic of life that awaits you. You can miss a little section and go back down to the lower paragraph, and it says there, let go of what was, accept what is, and surrender to what will be. Depression is living in the past, anxiety, fear in the future. As neuroscientist Dr. Joe Dispenza, if I pronounce that right, Dispenza beautifully puts it, you create your future from the unpredictable, i.e. the unknown. It is highly recommended, The Surrender Experiment by Michael A. Singer. It's a true story of how the author's life became an experiment that basically goes on. But what I thought was really interesting, especially from that first paragraph where you talk about nothing is certain in life, we will lose people we love, people will die, hearts will break, blah, blah. And I thought, well, how uncanny. It was almost as though you predicted and in your own way what exactly is happening now. How bizarre.
It's crazy. Because I wrote this, where are we? I wrote this a year ago, and I only received my full proof copy like a week or.
So can you hold the front up? Can you hold the front up? Such a great. Yes. There we go.
Yeah, I received the proof copy 2 weeks ago, and as I'm reading through it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so relevant to now, which is why we're moving the release date a month before, and. Yeah, as I read that the other day, and I was just like, this is so poignant for what's going on right now, and it serves as such a reminder, like nothing is certain, and it's true. The only thing that is certain is we will, without sounding too morbid, we're all going to die at some point, and the question will be not how did I die, but how did I live? And so letting go of the addiction to certainty is what is creating this pandemic panic. It's not the virus itself. I mean, what's going on with the virus is not to lessen it in any way, but it's the pandemic panic around. It's the economic uncertainty with the jobs, with livelihood. That is going to be the biggest trauma I feel from this, but it is. I always say to people that there's nothing is certain, because there's never. You are always in motion. We are living, vibrating beings. The universe is a living, vibrating planet. Everything is always in motion, is unfolding, is always moving and evolving. So if you hold on to that certainty, you always almost limit your ability also to evolve and to grow.
Right.
So for some people, this could be a huge breakthrough, transformation, growth, evolving.
Yeah, because I think I read some statistics today that says that 2,000 people. A survey of 2,000 people, which is not a big survey, Paul, but nonetheless, and it showed that something like 2/3 of us are living in fear and anxiety right now. 2/3, that's a huge figure.
Right now.
Yeah, right now, through this.
That doesn't surprise me, yeah.
Yeah, through this fear and what have you. And like you said in this bit here in your quote, and it said, depression is living in the past, anxiety is fear in the future. And the answer is really is to remain present, which is hard, I know, which is why we reconnect with nature and all the rest of it. For me, that certainly allows me to stay present.
Me too. Because
it's that future thinking, what if? But I don't know about you, but most of the things I feared would happen in the future, none of it happened. Do you know what I mean? None of those fears occurred.
Yeah, I want to touch on that actually.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and I'm not sitting here also going like, oh, you know, I'm so enlightened, I don't feel any of this. Like I do, but I'm so grateful for all the practices and the inner work that I've done over the years, that I feel resilient. Like to have the strong foundations of place of physical, mental, emotional, spiritual health. Like I feel I feel set up for whatever is going to come. I already had been through letting go of certainty. I learned that lesson a few years ago. I remember thinking, my gosh, I have an addiction to being certain, having certainty, the needing to know, and having like lightening that is really helps. And what I was going to touch on is that the fear, what happens is when we're living in anxiety or fear, if we're already feeling that sort of that fight flight at a low level, and it could be before all of this, things like just hitting a deadline on time, getting to work on time, like getting on the tube, you know, people are in that frenetic feeling. And what happens is the brain perceives that there's a threat. The nervous system perceives that there is a threat. Primarily, it would be there's a tiger or a tribe wants to kill or fight you and eat you, life and death. The nervous system is still set up to sense that. And so the brain, ego, wants to keep you safe. And so what happens is it starts to create the worst case scenario and play it as a loop in your mind. Hence why people who are feeling anxiety, they start to think the worst possible scenario that can happen, because then if even that doesn't happen, you will be safe. Do you see?
Yeah.
So it's almost like the bar gets like, the kind of threat bar gets so high because there's an anticipation that might happen. But if we actually train the nervous system to come down to, I am safe, I'm grounded, I'm in my body, I have all that I need, then the brain can go, oh, okay, this is so extreme, like, let's drop it to here, okay, I might be late, I feel a bit anxious that I'm going to be late, as opposed to, I don't know, I'm going to, like,
die.
Yeah.
No, feel free to express yourself. I did a post on this the other day that all this red all over the news. It's like, red, danger, I'm going to die. Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot of stuff out there which is heightening this
fear. Very much.
In all their good intentions. Do you know what I mean? But, you know, the power of colour, you know, in terms of heightening that. So, you know, I loved how you just explained my darling. But yeah, express yourself. You know, if that's what you want to say, then feel free to say.
Yeah, and I've come across that with a lot of my clients. They'll be like, my mind goes mad crazy and thinking the worst case scenario, like somebody's gonna, you know, crawl into my house with a gun. And I'm like, there is actually a physiological reason for why you're not going crazy. There is actually a reason for why that is happening. It's because your brain, your ego wants to keep you safe, because it's already preparing you for a threat that is here. And so it's setting the bar up higher, because even if that doesn't happen, you will be in the safe zone. But let's drop that anticipation way down, so then this bar can come down.
I love it. I love the way you explain that. That's truly beautiful. Truly beautiful, Francesca. So, my lovely, we're going to have to round this up now. It's a longer interview than usual, but I just thought, well, hey, we've all got more time than usual.
Yeah. Well, I've really enjoyed it. As you can tell, it's my passion. It's like, and I'm so
that one more time, Francesca. Sorry, say it again. Sorry, speaking over you. Say that again.
I know, but as you can tell, it's my passion, and I'm so like passionate to speak about it at this time in on the planet.
Yes, it's more important now than ever, and as a healer, which is what you are in your own way, this is the time when we need you more. We need you to shine your light more than ever. And this is when we need you more than ever before. So thank you so very much, my darling.
Thank
But
you.
before we close, of course, I'd love 3 badass, soulful tips.
Yes, I wrote them down. Okay, actually, touching on something you brought up, limit your news intake. Limit your news intake. Don't check your phone, emails, messages, social media first thing in the morning, because straight away you're giving away your power, your sovereignty, brings you more into a reactive state, as opposed to that time to just ground, give yourself space. So limit your news intake and don't check your phone first thing and the news and all the doom and gloom in the world, because that will straight away put you on this alert. My second tip is take time to be still. Being versus doing. Just be. Even in this time where we have more time, you don't have to fill it up with things to do, projects, decorating your whole house, learning a new language. Just be.
It's funny you saying that. That's one of your tips. I've seen that quite a lot on social media today, actually. People now saying, I'm bored. And it's a time actually where you could just be.
Yeah, just be. Just be. When did you last have that stillness of just 1 minute? 1 minute, quiet, nothing, no noise, no TV, just stillness. So even if that's going in nature, sitting in the garden, just being, without being on your phone or, you know. And my third one is connect. Reach out to friends, loved ones. There are tons of online wellness activities going on. I'm thinking setting up an online bodywork release and breathing online class. So now's the time to do some of that, give back to yourself.
I love that.
Top 3 in quarantine.
Give back to yourself. I love that. Now, my darling, you have an online book launch, which I love the idea of, because of course the initial plan was to do a physical book launch, but now we have to get creative, don't we? Have an online book launch coming up. Can you tell us a bit about that? Yeah,
do you know what I'm really looking forward to? And I think more people are going to come to that than they probably would have come to in it was going to be in East London. So everyone's at home, so more people can come. It's on, you have to join the Facebook event group if you want to come, Self-Care for Life in the City. So it's going to be an hour. My sister is hosting. I'm going to have it's all kind of a rough plan actually. This is how Luke proposed. Going to have a guest speaker, my friend Hannah, who's read the book and reviewed the book. She's going to be calling in from Brazil. An amazing woman. And then there's going to be Q&A with myself. I'm going to read some excerpts from the book and talk about my why I wrote this, why it's so relevant right now. And yeah, Q&A. So people can either send questions in beforehand, any questions about health or what they're going through now, or as the event unfolds, there'll be live questions going. So.
And can you also share with us some of your social media handles, how we can get in touch with you? How we can?
Yes, please. Yeah, you can follow me.
Most importantly.
I'm mostly on Instagram. I'm most active on Instagram, which is Wholistic Body Life, holistic with a W. And my Facebook business page is Wholistic Body Life as well, the same, and LinkedIn, Francesca Blechner. And if you go onto my website, you can download my top 5 simple life hacks for overcoming overwhelm.
Great stuff. And where can we buy the book?
You can buy the book on Amazon, Self-Care for Life in the City. It's on Amazon and it's on paperback and Kindle. They'll distribute globally. I don't know how long it will take to globally at the moment, but you can pre-order right now, and the release date is next Friday the 3rd of April.
Fabulous. Well, Francesca, you are awesome beyond words. Your aura, it just comes through the screen. It is so beautiful. And of course, you do one-to-one coaching as well. I imagine coaching with you is just fabulous, just fantastic.
Yeah, we dive deep.
Yeah, and I, just thank you for your words and your expression and the way you've put it out there. It is so beautiful. It's like a big warm blanket. I feel like you've put a big Shetland warm blanket around us all.
Thank
Give us
you.
a big hug through these difficult times. So thank you.
I think it's going to help so many people. Do you know what? My book, I'm not just pitching this out here, but I really was adamant that I wanted it out. End of Jan, New Year, end of Jan. I was pushing my sister because she's doing the publishing, and we were kind of way behind. And you surrender, let go of certainty. I had to surrender. Go. You know what? It's coming out way later than I wanted it to.
Yeah.
It's actually perfect timing. It's divine timing, because people can read this in quarantine, in isolation, and they can turn around their life and get really clear on redefining success and all of the wonderful things that are written.
Beautiful. It's funny you say about surrender, actually. The other day I couldn't get bread, and I tried 3 shops and I couldn't get the bread, and I thought, you know what, I'm sick of bread anyway. I just thought, this is not going to take my energy. And 2 days later the bread turns up in abundance. There's so much bread in the shops, so
right, we
let
have
it
all
go.
that we need. And I think this time is going to really take us back to our resourcefulness and to the way that we used to live as tribes, as our ancestors, really take us back. We have all that we need is inside us. We've just got comfortable.
Yeah, we now can access it.
And
Francesca,
health is wealth. Yeah.
thank you very much. That's okay, my darling, and best of luck with your online book.
Yes.
I'll put a link to that in the post as well.
Thank you.